Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another BenObi Tech weekly live stream. Today, I'm joined by the one and only Callum from True Tech Reviews. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Doing good. And excuse the lag on his end. He's just been having some technical problems today, but seems to be working though. So,
For now.
how is everybody doing today? This fine Saturday. Um, We're going to be talking about a bunch of cool stuff today. We're going to talk a little bit about Callum's switch to the Apple ecosystem. That's going to be a good part of the live. By the way, can everyone hear us? Just want to make sure. It looks like everyone can hear us, but maybe it's not coming through. But anyway, yeah. And also we're going to talk about the Pixel, of course. In my attempt to become part of Team Pixel. I'm only joking, kind of, but not really. And also we're talking about Apple events and Elon Musk wanting to create a robot. So that's fun. So yeah, Taylor's a bit surprised that you switched.
I think everyone is, to be fair.
Like I remember like sometimes discussing with you about Apple and you're like, nah. Alright, we got I'm Team Pixel now. I got the email for the 5A. No, you didn't, Miles. You're lying. If it's that easy, you just post a video after not posting for a month, and it's about the Pixel, and then Google's like, yeah. But anyway, let's start off by talking a little bit about your Switch, and how it's going and things like that. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that then?
Where do I start? So, most of the time, or a lot of, to be fair, the whole of my life, besides until when the iPhone 12 came out, I was always an Android fanboy. Fanboy, fanboy-ish. I was.
Your camera's frozen
Okay.
again, by the way.
Oh, my camera's frozen. Is it? No, it's not. On my end.
It's frozen for me.
It's frozen. Wonderful.
Well, you could keep talking. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
voices.
exactly. So yeah, I've been open-minded for iPhones, but in terms of actually getting one, it's just been definitely a no for me. But ever since the iPhone 12 launch in October, I decided this will be my time. I thought, why not? I'll switch over. I'll switch to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. There was a lot of debating. 'Cause I had the Note 20 Ultra at the time, so there was a lot of debating. But I thought, might as well. I'll try it. And I was planning on getting it on the iPhone upgrade program, but COVID kind of delayed all of that, so I just got it normally. So, but other than that, I've pretty much done a full-on U-turn on how I used to be. It was everything Android, everything Windows, everything, pretty much everything Samsung. That's how most of it was. But now it's it's interesting. So I've now got well, I've had a lot of people know that I've had the MacBook Pro 16-inch for a while now. It's been almost a year and a half. So that was the first Apple product I actually got. And then ever since I got my iPhone, I just kept adding and adding into it. So I've got the Apple Watch Series 6. I've got the AirPods Pro. I've got the iPad Pro 12.9-inch M1. I've got AirTags. So pretty much went full on with how I went. So I was like, if I'm going to try it, I may as well try it properly and try the whole ecosystem. And I have to say, I am disappointed with myself as to how much I like it. But it's it's good, to be fair. It's very much how I thought it would be. I was saying when I did have my Android phone as my main phone, I was saying I know that I would like it too much, which is why I didn't want to make the swap.
Yeah.
But now I've made the swap, it's made my life a lot easier with doing things. I haven't had any battery worries like I have done with pretty much the last 4 or 5 Samsung phones I've had. I haven't had any, pretty much no worries at all. No errors, no anything going wrong, it's pretty much been perfectly fine. And I've pretty much swapped over to all Apple apps as well. So when I first got the iPhone, I was using mainly the Google apps because I was used to them. But now I'm literally Apple Maps. I'm Safari. I'm pretty much absolutely everything Apple now. So
Wow, that's a
yeah,
change.
it's been an interesting journey and an interesting choice, but I'm not disappointed so far.
That's good. It's also crazy how you're also switching completely like all of your services now as well to Apple. Like I'm still in that kind of phase, like because I just switched back to Apple from the S10, and like I've still got Google Apps on my phone. I'm still using Google Drive, still using Google Docs, and Google Keep Notes and stuff like that because I'm still kind of in that phase. But everything else I use is Apple. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and for
Do
me,
By the way, do you want to
I
try
think
to connect your cam link again? See if it's not gonna freeze
yeah,
anymore.
just
It's kind of
gonna
weird. Just
still work.
there's just me and then there's a black screen. There we go. Cool.
Um, hello, we are back. We are live. Proof, I do have an iPhone. It does exist. I'm not lying.
There we go.
Um, but yeah, it's strange because as I said, with switching over to all the services, Google Maps has pretty much been a staple for pretty much everything on Android. So for me, switching over to Apple Maps was interesting, but now I'm used to it. It's actually working quite a bit better than Google Maps was. So that's interesting. But the other thing is just how everything works together. I know obviously the Apple ecosystem works really well, but I never expected it to work as well as it does. So that half surprised me, half didn't. So, but yeah, it's been very interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, like I've been in part of the Apple ecosystem for quite a while as well, and I tried Android, tried Windows, but honestly, like everything in Apple just works well, and I think you've also you can testify to that for sure. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And
and
what?
on my MacBook, it's been I've recently just switched over to Final Cut Pro as well. So
Oh, I remember
it,
I was going through our Instagram DMs earlier today, and I saw that we were like having a discussion about, or we had a discussion sometime on Twitter about Premiere versus Final Cut. So what do you think about Final Cut Pro?
I haven't used it much, but I've I'm starting to learn it a bit more, and I have to say it does work a lot better. It seems to make a lot more sense. There seems to be a few bits that definitely make a lot more sense than Premiere Pro did. I managed to get keyboard, the silicon keyboard cover thing from whoever makes it, um,
Oh
just
yeah,
to
that
remove
one.
the shortcuts because
Yeah.
I don't know where anything is on there, and I'm going through all the shortcuts. I'm like, what does this do? This isn't the same as what that was, but it's good so far. It's making life a lot easier, but there's a certain few things that I think it would take a bit of time to get used to. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
It
that's
definitely doesn't make my computer sound like a jet engine anymore. So that's also another benefit.
that's true. Yeah, like I remember when I tried to use like Premiere Pro to edit some videos. Yeah, the fans were really loud, but also it would like every time it would crash because it didn't have autosave, or at least I didn't figure out how to turn it on if that's a thing now. But like I tried to edit something and then the whole computer would crash and then I'd have to start again. So
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah,
sucked.
by default, I think it's like half, say, auto saves every half an hour or something. But with the Final Cut Pro, I'm just like I'm trying to press save, and it's like, what do you mean it's already saved? I haven't done anything yet. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so nice,
it's great.
especially if you run out of battery as well. That's another benefit. Run out of battery, not concentrating because you're editing, and then it automatically just appears exactly how it was before, rather than like half an hour ago. So it's a
Yeah,
very good benefit.
yeah, for sure. I like honestly, I love it. It's great. Um, but yeah, well, is there anything in the Apple ecosystem that you like don't like? Anything that you miss in particular?
Yes. I mean, I do miss customization, but like with Nova Launcher,
Yeah.
especially, I still have an Android phone, so I'm rocking the OnePlus 9 Pro as my secondary phone. as you wish. But yeah, it's the customization. I do miss Nova Launcher, but I guess I am saving money because I'm not buying icon packs. I'm not buying widgets and everything like that. So, but other than that, there's not really much I miss. Everything just seems to work a lot better. I'm not missing anything. There's a few nicks that I have with the camera, but I know everyone says how amazing the iPhone cameras are, and I now agree. I see why, especially on social media apps. But there's just a few nicks that I have with, especially in certain lighting scenarios. It seems to go for a much warmer tone than a lot of the Android phones do, which may, to be fair, be a bit more realistic. But in terms of what looks better, at least in my opinion, I much prefer the cooler look of, for example, at the moment, the OnePlus 9 Pro's photos. But other than that, pretty much can't fault any of it.
It's great. Yeah. And yeah, like what was I gonna say now? I completely forgot. But yeah, I love the iPhone cameras, honestly. They're good. And there are of course a couple of areas where it's not that great, where Android is a little bit better. Like take the Pixel for example, it's so much better at taking pictures. But then for video, I think the iPhone is the best. I don't know. I don't know if you had much experience with the video recording on the iPhone, but I love the quality, just the way it looks as well. It's just great.
Yeah.
And also considering that all three cameras can record in the same quality, can take pictures in the same quality, and it's not like degraded or anything, which is something that on the S10 Plus is very annoying because I can't record with the ultra wide, can't record like 4K at 60 frames a second with the ultra wide, or the telephoto. It can only do it on the main lens, which doesn't make sense because like it's got three cameras. It's supposed to do that with all three, which Apple does, which is good. I like that from them.
Yeah, and it just all fits together. All the color shifting or the lack of color shifting between all the lenses just makes them look so much more uniform and like it should be. Where I know a lot of phones that have multiple lenses, different focal lengths, they tend to have slight variations in terms of color. So it's quite nice that pretty much it's the exact same color profile. So it's nice to see that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess we could move on a little bit to talk about the Pixel and that kind of like the Pixel 5a, upcoming Pixel 6, because I haven't really talked to you about the Pixel 6 and what you think about Tensor and stuff like that. So for those who don't know, Google just released the Pixel 5a this week in like a completely random launch. They were just like, oh, here's the Pixel 5a, just go buy it. By the way, it's only available in the US and Japan. So us here in the UK, we can't buy it. Not like I care, but we can't buy it here. So yeah, but what are your thoughts, Callum? What do you think about the Pixel in general?
It's interesting because it's not much in terms of design change. Pretty much nothing has changed. It looks very similar from what I've seen. I haven't seen much about it, but from what I have seen, it looks very similar besides the colors. So what they're calling is, what is the official name of what they've called the color?
I'm not sure. I try to go to the Google store on my phone and it doesn't work because it's like, you're not in the US. This doesn't exist in your country.
I don't remember exactly what they called it, but it's like just about black or something. But if you look at the photo, it's pretty much green.
I think it's like almost black or something. I think that's what they called it.
Something like that. But I mean, I don't know if it's certain lighting situations, but with the back, I don't assume it would be. But it definitely does look more green than it does black. So not sure on their naming there, but then their naming has always been a bit odd.
Yeah.
Other than that, it looks good. It looks very interesting. It's cheaper than the 4A 5G, I think it was.
The A4, 4A. Yeah, A4 5G or A4, 4A. Sorry, 4A 5G.
4A, yeah, the 4A 5G.
A4.
Like $50 cheaper than that one. So
yeah, it's not bad. But
if you're going one as of now, that would make the most sense with water resistance versus the other ones as well. So
yeah, because
interesting choice.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't really have that much of a difference between the 4A and the 5A. It's only just like water resistance. It's a different color. The back is
Yeah,
like metal instead of plastic, and a couple of other things. But there's barely anything new, which
yeah,
is kind of weird. Like even the processor is the same. The cameras I think
yeah.
are the same, or they're the same as the Pixel 5, um, which
Which is
is
the
kind
same as the Pixel 4, which
kind
is
of
the same
weird.
as Pixel 3, and
Yeah,
they're all the same cameras now.
all the
Yeah,
same cameras pretty much. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, other than that, it makes the most sense if you're buying one now. Obviously, if you've already got for a 5G, then not worth upgrading because you're pretty much getting nothing. But if you're looking at one for now, then that's probably your best option at that price point for Pixels.
yeah. And I mean, if you don't have the 4A, then get the 5A because if you have the 4A, it doesn't make any sense. But I think also Google, the reason why they did it like in this kind of awkward time where they're about to release a new phone that's going to be very good, they were just kind of like, okay, we have the Pixel 5A here. Let's just release it at this point. I wonder how much time they've been waiting, or if they were even planning on releasing it in the end. Because also there were chip shortages or something. That's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
Google's kind of moving away from um, the Qualcomm or something that they make their chips.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Qualcomm with their Snapdragon chips, and then their Pixel 6, it's going to Tensor. Is that what their processor
yeah,
is, isn't
Tensor.
it?
That honestly, I'm really excited for that because I mean, you've experienced the Apple ecosystem. You know how it works, like how the software works very well together with the hardware and things like that. Because I mean, I think the advantage to Google making their own chips with the Tensor is that they're building both the OS and the chip. So now they can kind of build them together a
Yeah,
little bit more. Because if you take another Android OEM like Samsung, they have, yes, they make their own chips like with the Exynos, but they're not as optimized because they don't make Android. What were you
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Is that I was gonna say, is that a good thing that Samsung make their own chips because they're
Yeah,
not
I
doing
mean,
well?
yeah, they're not very good. Like the S10 I've got is horrendous sometimes. It's all right. It could be
But
better.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what they can bring because, as you said, with Apple making their own chip and their own um, OS, makes a lot of sense that if Google can do it, then obviously being such a big operating system and being such a big software company, it would make a lot of sense with going in the same direction that Apple have gone with, making a much easier to use ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. The chat's a bit quiet. I know there's people watching. What do you guys think? Miles, I know you're still there and you didn't respond to the our statement. But you froze again, by the way.
Oh, I froze.
Okay, wait, no, you're fine now. What?
Oh, I'm fine. I can.
I literally said you were frozen and then you unfroze.
Well,
Magic.
technology, magical.
Wait, did you? So yeah, you switched almost completely to the Apple ecosystem, but do you have a HomePod yet?
So I was there was a small part of me that was considering getting the HomePod Mini because well, I don't really know, but I just kind of wanted to see what it was like because where I work, we've got the HomePod on pretty much all the time, so I know it sounds good, but it just didn't sell as much as it should have done, or as much as Apple wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the HomePod Mini was more appealing, but no, I didn't get one. I was planning to, but I went against it.
Oh well, you've got AirTags though, right?
Yes, I do have AirTags. I've got four of them, so they're interesting. They're I can see the guidance in I don't know what to call it. I'm not very good at the terminology and the Apple stuff, but the you know what I mean. The
Yeah, yeah, where you
green
can use
right
like AR and it'll show you
yeah
where. Yeah, that's honestly
yeah
that's really
that
cool.
makes a lot of sense.
Like
Yeah,
I'm like when I get my new iPhone and stuff like that when it comes out, I'll probably get AirTags as well. 'Cause AirTags are really cool.
yeah,
So I've got a Tile, but the problem is like a lot of the time it doesn't work for some reason.
yeah,
Like I go onto the app
yeah.
and I'm like I ping it and it's like it's not connected. Like
Yeah,
it's supposed to ring. but it doesn't. So yeah. But I think with
I've had tiles all the time, and they're pretty much. I mean, they do what they should, but very badly. So you have to be within even like tile, uh, the pro, the waterproof one that's got
yeah.
like a 300-meter range or something
All right.
for the Bluetooth connection. Even them, they're pretty poor at what they do. So I've had them and never ended up losing my stuff, but I think these ones from Apple made a lot more sense. And I haven't yet tried the Samsung ones, but I do have them coming. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like. But these ones make the most sense in the market at the moment, at least. And they're
Mm-hmm.
actually reasonably priced, not as expensive as I would have expected them to be. So
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
I guess it kind of sucks though that you have to buy like a case for it, I guess, in a way, because they don't exactly
Yeah,
come with a thing that
yeah.
you put on your keys or you do whatever. Bonnie the Queen in the chat is saying that there are 23 subscribers. Let's go. Well done. I think they were at 19 the other day or something. You have frozen. Yeah, your
Yeah,
video's
okay.
frozen again.
I'm looking at the stream. Right. Let's play this game again. Technology is great.
Is alright. But yeah, another thing we wanted to talk a little bit about was Elon Musk. So I don't know if you've seen it, but like Elon Musk wants to make a robot now. Well, a Tesla robot.
Yes, I saw some tweets about it. I didn't see much. I thought from what they're making at the moment, I didn't want. But
Can
so
you,
how now looking, it's quite interesting.
yeah, honestly, like when I heard about it, I was like, Elon, what are you doing? But I think it would be cool. Like the way they want to do it as well. The reason why Elon wants to do it is he wants to make a robot that can go and do the tasks that you always do that you don't want to do, kind of like going shopping and things like that. That's gonna be interesting to see. You just have like a robot go walk to the shop and buy things for you. I wonder what the cashier is gonna like react to. They're gonna be like, "What is this?" Especially since they want to release it next year,
Yeah,
which is the
yeah,
crazy thing. I'm like, "What, next year?" I don't think the world is ready for it yet. Like already, we're
no,
getting there with self-driving cars, and it's already having
yeah,
problems. We don't want to throw
yeah,
another thing in there that could end up going and killing people, or doing other stuff.
yeah. And if they end up in the wrong hands, then I'm sure there's probably some ways to bypass their security features, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah, and I mean, although the first law of robotics is like they would never harm a mankind, but the thing is like all somebody needs to do is they need to take the robot and reprogram it, and then it completely destroys that purpose.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's interesting. Especially when I first saw the, I mean, I saw it come out, and well, I saw the tweets and rumors come out. But when I saw that it was going to be next year, I was like, really, that early?
yeah.
Is that the
Also,
wisest choice?
yeah. Also, knowing Elon, like I don't think it's gonna be next year. Like they said, oh yeah, the Tesla Roadster will be out in what was it, like 2019 or 2020, and it's 2021, and we still haven't seen it. So I mean,
Very true.
when are they actually going to release this thing? I think even with the Model 3, they're like, oh yeah, we're releasing it this year, and then it was like later. So who knows? Who knows what
Yeah,
Elon Musk has on his mind right now?
I don't even think
But
he
it's kind of
does.
funny. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like Steve Jobs. He's like, I want this, do it, except he's kind of late when he says he's going to do something.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see Tesla make a robot.
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
if anybody can do it, Tesla can.
True. Yeah, that is very true.
With all their like automation stuff. But yeah. What was the other thing that we were going to talk? Oh yeah, Apple events. So you're not that big into Apple events, I think you said before, right?
I'm into them now.
Oh yeah, of
I
course.
don't know much about them.
Don't know much
A lot
about
of the
them.
time I try and yeah, a lot of the time I try and not really hear anything until the actual day of the event. So
All
I
right.
don't really like
Don't.
hearing things outside of that. But
So you don't like spoilers?
basically, yeah, I like to be surprised, but you always get spoilers.
Yeah,
So
pretty much. Like even if you, there, I've seen like some people that were like that go really hard on trying not to see any leaks. So they're like, I filter everything on Twitter, so like anything with the word iPhone 13 is gonna show up. I'm not gonna see it. Things like that. Like some people take it a bit too far with that, but yeah, I mean, apparently we're gonna be having 3 Apple events at the end of this year. No, Siri, I did not want to talk to you. Go away. Anyway, um, can you try speaking? I think you. Okay, I can hear you. Never mind. I thought you went like the Siri decided to speak, but again, go away, Siri. One moment. Okay, never mind.
that is one thing, to be fair, about being in the Apple ecosystem is not having a good voice assistant. It's
Yeah,
it's okay. I mean, I've used it for a few things. It's good for setting timers, good at setting reminders, but that's about it. For the
yeah.
jokes,
It's
wasn't for humor, but
yeah, that's true. Like honestly, Google Assistant is way better with like being an assistant because Siri,
yeah,
it's decent, but it's not as good. I think that's one of the reasons why the HomePod kind of failed, or at least the original one did. Because now people are buying the
yeah,
HomePod Mini because they're like, oh, it's small, it's cool, it's not as expensive. But yeah, with like the big HomePod, I think that's one of the biggest flaws to the Apple ecosystem. Honestly, is Siri. Same
yeah,
with like
yeah,
I think with Samsung, like Bixby isn't that great either. It's just annoying, even though they're improving it. But I think a lot of people like
definitely.
me, we still find Bixby annoying because like especially me since I have a button for it and I don't want a
Yeah, I was
button
gonna
for it.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say. Like, my mum has the S10, which she's just swapped. Actually, I've managed to just convert her to an iPhone. But she had the S10 before, and the amount of times that she's accidentally pressed that button, and it just wakes up going, "Hi, I'm Bixby." I was like, "No, go away. We don't want you."
Yeah, it's like I was trying to set it up as well a couple of weeks ago, but for some reason Samsung wouldn't let me sign into my Samsung account. So I was like, okay, I'll go change the password. Try to go change the password, and it's like, oh yeah, you can't change the password for this reason. I was like, how am I supposed to get in it? And I think I had 2-factor authentication turned on or something, and it said, click here if you've changed your phone number. So I went and changed my phone number, and it was like, oh, error, you can't do this. So I had to create a whole new account with another email. It's just annoying. And then I finally set up Bixby, and then it became annoying since then. Because every time I put it in my car, I put it in the car mount, and it would
Yeah,
press the Bixby button, and then, hey, I'm Bixby. I don't care who you are. Just get off my screen. Yeah.
yeah. I used it when I had pretty much since the S9 Plus, or when did it first come out? It was
I think it might have been the S8.
S8. Yeah, so I had the S8 Plus, the S9 Plus, and then the S20 Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra. So I used it up until the S20 Ultra, and it was only for um, basically I say one word and it does certain things. So if I say like bedtime, it will put on an alarm, it will turn my phone into do not disturb, it will turn the vibration off, and all sorts of things. So literally one word can do multiple different actions, which wonderful, works great for that. Everything else, absolute rubbish. Doesn't do anything else. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's changed. I don't know if it's got any better, but I think that is the main use that at least I would use it for if I still had a Samsung. But I don't, which I'm quite happy about. So
Don't have to deal with Bixby. Wait, because now I think they've gotten rid of the Bixby button, right? Or have they brought it back?
so they've got rid of the button, but by default, like it is on OnePlus, where you press and hold the power button for your assistant.
Yeah.
By default, press and hold the power button on Samsung is um,
Bixby.
Bixby now.
And
So
you can't
yeah,
change it.
you can change.
Okay.
So when you go down to the notifications, you have the option of side button press what it does. So You have the option
All
of either
right.
being press and hold for your actual power options, or press and hold for your voice assistant. But the voice assistant has to stay as Bixby that I'm aware of. I haven't seen the option to swap it to Google yet. But
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah, I would say if you have a Samsung, turn that option off, because one, if you don't use Bixby, it's going to be annoying if you're trying to turn your phone off so that you press and hold the power button and then it just wakes up and goes, "Hi, I'm Bixby." Like, no, just I want to turn my phone off. So you then have to press and hold the power button and the volume down or the volume up button, whichever one isn't a screenshot. So yeah, if you have a Samsung phone and you're not going to use it, just turn that option off, because yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not worth it. It would just get so annoying.
Yeah, that's true. Cause honestly, like I tried it would be cool if like the Bixby button when they used to support it and update the phone and stuff like that. Because I think this is not gonna have software updates soon. But you could. It would have been nice if you could have actually customized it and like completely turned off Bixby and had like if you press and hold, then it would do something, and then if you pressed it once, it would do something. Because now you can press and hold for Bixby or press and hold it to open a certain app.
Yeah.
So like I've got like one press, it opens Google Pay, and then a hold
Okay.
opens Bixby. Because I was like, maybe
Okay.
if I press and hold, it's not gonna turn on as much. But like,
Yeah.
you don't even need to press and hold that much. Like if you just leave it for like a split second, it turns on Bixby. It's not supposed to do that. But anyway.
Yeah. Not at all. But yeah, it's I think Samsung should appreciate Google Assistant more and realize Bixby isn't doing well and integrate Google more. But
Yeah, because
I doubt I
it,
doubt that will happen.
yeah, because I mean, it looked like Samsung was kind of moving away from Android. Like I was hoping that they were gonna come out with like they were gonna try to go all in on Tizen OS. But then this at this last event when they were like, oh yeah, now the Galaxy Watch we're merging it basically with Wear OS. I was like,
Yeah.
what? So you're basically backtracking now. So basically now you're going back to using Wear OS. It's like you no,
Yeah.
you're supposed to go towards using your own OS so then you can build everything together, make it optimized, and create an ecosystem. But no, you have to have a skin on a watch that fights with Google all the time. It's like let's use the Google Calendar. No, let's use Samsung Calendar. Oh, let's go use Google's Gmail. No, let's use Samsung Mail. It's like
I have to say
why?
that the Galaxy Watch 4 is probably, I don't know if it's because it's only just come out, but it's probably the best version of any watch they've made so far.
Oh
In
yeah.
terms of responsiveness, in terms of, because it's technically run by Wear OS, powered by Samsung, it's it's a lot more responsive. So I owned the Gear S3 and the Galaxy Watch and the Galaxy Watch Active 2, and they were all so sluggish. Literally anything you would do, it would. I mean, it doesn't take like ages, but just compared to the responsiveness of how it should be, it's just rubbish, basically. So when I went to literally the day after the Samsung event, we went to the Samsung store up in King's Cross, the big fancy one that they've got up in London, and we tried out the Fold 3, tried out the Flip 3, also tried out the Galaxy Watch 4, and it is just miles better. So hopefully it's a step in the right direction, but then hopefully if they do end up going fully on Tizen with their watches, they can make it a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, because I guess maybe now that they're kind of partnering with Wear OS and stuff, they have more. I guess they can do more things behind the scenes. Because like right now with Tizen, they had to they had to actually work on it and improve it and make it ready for the user instead of just experimenting with stuff. So I think
Yeah.
maybe they're probably gonna perfect it a little bit and then move back to it. But I don't know because now it's kind of like they've merged with Google and doing a bunch of other weird stuff.
Yeah, it's like with their phones, they're going more towards Microsoft because of the partnership with Microsoft for their Windows support with the phone apps and get the Samsung apps on Windows 10 and everything like that. But then on the watch side of things, they're going more towards Google. So like, surely the watch is yours, the phone's yours. Either go the Microsoft direction or go the Google direction. Don't just go
Yeah.
in two opposite directions, or stick on your own track and keep with yourself. Don't
Yeah.
just don't just bring everyone to the party.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird there. Tech Free Needs is saying that is a bad idea to go with Tizen because Android is the one making money for Samsung. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from experience of using Tizen OS on watches, I think Wear OS is the way to go. So, providing they don't overly skin on top of Wear OS, then I think that is their best shot at actually making a good smartwatch, because the features they had were good, but the actual um, operation of it, the actual performance of how the watch was doing was just dreadful.
Yeah. Like I've never had the opportunity to try like a Samsung Gear watch or Samsung Watch or whatever. But I have used an Android smartwatch. I've been using one for the past couple of years, and like Wear OS is pretty good. Like honestly, it's not as good as Watch OS in my opinion. I think Watch OS on in the Apple ecosystem is by far the best. It's the best smartwatch on the market. I don't know if you would agree as well.
Yes.
And I think with the Galaxy Watch, it's cool that they're kind of trying. They're trying to add cool features like they've added ECG and things like that, and the other weird whatever the composition feature. I don't know what the other thing
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't understand
Like
that.
yeah, like I don't get it. Like you wake up and you're like you press the watch and it does something.
Yeah,
It's like what? So
it's strange. But
it's weird, but I mean, they're trying. It looks like they're trying to make their watches better, making them more appealing, which is good. Like, they're already losing a lot of sales with their phones. They don't want to make everything else worse. So,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, well, we'll see what happens with that. Honestly, um,
Yeah, yeah. It might be the start of something good, but who knows? It's Samsung. They usually start good and end up bad, so
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah, and I mean, we've also got Google. Google looks like they're taking the step in the right direction. They're kind of copying Apple now, moving to having their own ecosystem with their own, like even they're working on a watch as well, a Pixel watch. So that's gonna be exciting
Yeah,
to see what they're gonna do with that, like a stock Android, stock Wear OS watch. That would be cool. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with
yeah,
Google and
yeah,
everything.
definitely.
I hope Google goes with and makes a watch as well because I really want to see them take a little bit more of a step towards being like Apple.
Yeah,
Because I mean, right now they're not having that much success. Like not many people are buying the phones. That's why they're putting a lot of time and effort into making this new chip and making the Pixel a decent phone that can actually compete with other companies. Um,
yeah.
but yeah. Tech for Your Needs asks, do you think Samsung is bringing back the Note next year one more time?
Now, a few
Yeah.
thoughts. I would say no. I don't think so. Um, I mean, it could be. That could be fun, but from the time I spent with the Fold 3, the day after the event, it was surprising how good it was using the S Pen on the Fold. But I think they need to streamline it a bit more in the way of you have to get. So there's two different types of S Pens. There's the normal S Pen, and then the S Pen Pro, I think they call it, where the Pro has the same Bluetooth features as the normal Note phones S Pens do. Um, but then to be able to store the pen, you need to have the S Pen case for the Fold. But then if you get the S Pen Pro, then the S Pen doesn't actually fit in the case, and there's no case for the S Pen Pro, and it's like you've you've done it. You've managed to find a screen that folds that also allows you to use a pen with the retracting nib, so it doesn't damage the screen as much, or doesn't damage the screen at all. But find where to put it next time because with all that phone you have, especially once it's shut, it's obviously twice as thick as a normal phone would be. I'm sure you can probably figure out somewhere where you can put it where it would actually be in the phone. But that's my
Yeah.
thoughts on it anyway. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, I think I don't think they're bringing back the Note. I think they definitely need to improve on where to put the S Pen though, because I agree with that. Like where do you put it? Like I remember when Steve Jobs was introducing the iPhone, he was like, "Oh, who wants a stylus? Because you have to you use it and then you have to put it somewhere and you don't know where to put it. Like it's just pointless. It's not good." So I think if Samsung can kind of figure that out, like I was thinking they could always take the iPad Pro approach and kind of have like a connector on the hinge and then you snap it to the hinge, or maybe it's like the same size as the hinge and it just attaches there. I think that would be a
Yeah.
decent place to put it. It wouldn't
Yeah.
really add any thickness, because I mean you're not exactly gonna hold the back of it, or it's not really gonna be that. Like if the hinge kind of protrudes a little bit, I don't think that would be that bad. Like they could even just have a compartment in there that you could throw the S Pen in. But
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
because
With the S21 Ultra supporting the S Pen, if all the S line then starts to support the S Pen, then if that becomes the norm, then they'll probably end up being able to put the S Pen within the phone itself, like they did with the Note, but keep it more of the S line shape rather than the boxier Notes like
uh-huh.
shape. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because there's obviously S there's three S lines, so there's the standard size, the Plus, and the Ultra. Whereas with the Note, it was only the standard size or the Ultra. So, well, since
Yeah.
the Note 20 anyway, it's so it'll be interesting to see if they keep keep the fold using the S Pen, but have it separate, and then stick with the S range having the pen built into the phone, or if they do try and build it in, as you said, to like the hinge or something on the fold.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I'm not honestly not a big fan of styluses on phones. I don't think they exactly make that much sense. But I mean, for the people who want it, I think if they had the option where you can use it on all of the S line phones, and they did make a compartment for it, um, I think that's a decent idea.
Yeah,
But I think the whole point is like they're trying to get rid of the Note. They're getting rid of the Note because I think the Fold is kind of replacing it, as because I
yeah,
guess the whole point of the Note is it's a bigger screen. You have a pen that you can write things with. Um,
yeah, and it's more
with
productivity tools with the Note being well, when it first launched, obviously the Note being significantly bigger than the rest of the phones, but nowadays with every phone being big, but yeah, it's more the productivity type tools. So
Yeah,
having that big screen kind of makes more sense with the Fold, I
yeah,
think.
exactly. Because I mean the Fold is almost the size of a tablet, and I mean
Yeah,
it's the best device that you could use an S Pen for. But it sucks that you don't have any place to put it right now.
yeah,
It seems like they kind of designed the Fold and then they're like, okay, let's go sell it, and they're like, oh wait, we forgot we can put an S Pen in here, but we don't have enough time to redesign the whole thing, so we're just gonna release the S Pen separately.
yeah,
So I don't know if that's what they
yeah,
did in the end, but
yeah. I think maybe next time, now that they know that they can have the S Pen on there, I think they should have a better idea of how to implement it in terms of building it in somewhere or having it attached to the side.
yeah,
So that'd be interesting to see.
yeah, for sure. I guess we're kind of nearing the end of the stream. It's almost been an hour. Let's talk a little bit more about Apple now. We've talked about it a little bit at the start of you switching and things like that. But what is something that you're looking forward to in the next upcoming like events, and what is something that you want to see from Apple,
What do I want to see?
just in general from Apple, and then we can go a little bit more specific in a second.
Good question. Uh, as I said, I don't follow much in terms of leaks, rumors, what's coming out in the future. So in terms of, there's not really much that I would want to see. Can like obviously, if they can fix the minor few things I mentioned previously in terms of my experiences, then I think for me I wouldn't really need anything else. But obviously, if they release something that I didn't think of, then that would be on my list. So yeah, I don't think there's anything specific I would want to see. But
Yeah.
how about you? Anything specific you're looking
On
forward?
something like they were supposed to announce it this year or something. I'm really looking forward to the Apple AR glasses. I don't know if you've heard much about
Yeah.
those, but those would be really cool. I think like you just have these glasses that you put on, and you can do things without having a physical device there. And I think eventually, I don't know if you saw my video about my hot take on foldables and how I believe that AR is the future, not foldables, because like, foldables they can kind of there's a lot of downsides to it. Like you've got it's not as dust resistant. You have a plastic screen instead of a glass screen, and a bunch of other trade-offs. But with AR glasses, you just have the glasses, and then you do things. You'd have like a screen that's bigger than a foldable in front of you. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Apple's gonna, or any company's really gonna do anything like that very soon?
I hope so, to be fair. Me and my dad were actually talking about this when we went to the Samsung store. We were using Apple Maps, and I was holding the phone out as I've got an Apple Watch, so I could really just follow the directions on the Apple Watch. But yeah, we were talking about how it would be just nice to just look where you're going rather than having to have your phone out or have your watch, or keep an eye out on your watch for where
Yeah.
you're going. So in terms of like navigation, I think that would be really useful because it's not impairing your vision in any way. It's not like if you're using your phone, you can obviously be on your phone like a lot of people are, and then
Mm-hmm.
not realize you to a road, and then who knows what can happen. So in terms of the safety aspect, I think with navigation that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think Apple would probably be the one to do it, or at least do it well. Um, so yeah, quite excited to see if slash when that happens, and what sort of things you can get. Because if it's anything like, there's so many different films you can watch that have obviously what it's going to be like in the future, and you see so many things where you're just whether either just wearing glasses or it's just
Just
it's
out there,
looking
yeah.
around and yeah, and you just swipe through. And if it's like that, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense in terms of the phone thing as well, because if you don't need a physical device besides glasses, then again, it can be a thing where, like, again, but the safety thing is if you get to a certain place, it can automatically switch off the phone, and then you can start seeing where you're going again. And obviously, there's nothing besides the glasses. There's nothing that you can physically break. There's nothing that you can drop, and it just made a lot more sense. So I think that would be pretty interesting to see how they done that, or if they do that.
Yeah, and there's somebody's bringing up in the chat that the Google Glass, that it's a pity that the Google Glass never kicked off. And I think like the Google Glass, it was just early. It was ahead of its time. Like a lot of people there weren't really thinking of OAR, that kind of stuff. But I think now as we're kind of nearing the point where smartphones are just the same every year. Like there's not, yes, there's improvements. It's faster. It can do more, but essentially the smartphone is just a smartphone. It doesn't change that much every year. But with AR glasses, it's a new thing that can come out. And as you said, it would be really cool. Like you're like walking or you're driving, and you just have the directions in your view. And like these glasses can connect to your phone. They can connect to your computer, things like that. And you can even, like, I think something really cool with AR glasses is you could have your MacBook or your iMac or whatever, and then you could just add screens to it. So then you'd have multiple screens. You could even put them around your room if you wanted to, and things like that. I think honestly, if Apple can pull it off well, I think AR glasses would be amazing. And I hope other companies start doing it as well. Like I'm sure if Apple doesn't release it this year, I don't think they're going to be the first to release something decent, because I mean we had to have already released Google Glass ages ago, and they're still kind of selling them to certain, like, I think just for companies and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think AR is going to be really cool. I think it's something to to really look forward to, not look after.
Yeah, and if it's anything like Apple, it will come late to the party, but it will come working a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Having the experience that everything else, or going by what everyone else has done, taking the downsides, taking the difficulties that they've had, and then making it 10 times better, like they do with pretty much everything they make. So it would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, like I honestly love how Apple, yes they're late at a lot of stuff, you Android fanboys out there, but when they do things, sorry, that wasn't like towards you, but like in general, I think when Apple does something, they do it well a lot of the time, because there's a few things that they've done that they've implemented that sucks and is not good. Like
Yeah.
smart speakers, I think they kind of flopped, and smart assistants. But yeah, I mean, Apple, whenever they do it, they're going to do it good, and it's going to be great. Like, even I'm excited to see if they really do end up doing an electric car, to see how it's really going to compete against Tesla and Audi and Mercedes, all of these other companies that are making smart electric cars and stuff like that. So that's going to be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, and pretty much every launch event on the Android side of things, or most of them at least, always put in some like sarcastic comment about how, oh yeah, we've got this, rather than like, we've had this for 5 years, we've had this for 3 years, and I was like, yeah, but it doesn't matter how long you've had it if it doesn't work anywhere near as well. So
Yeah.
yes, the stuff happens slower on iPhones, but when it does come out, it actually works, and working is a lot better than having it for longer. So
Yeah, and it's also funny how a lot of the times, sometimes Apple does something first, like they removed the headphone jack first. They added more than one camera to their phone kind of first. Like other companies did those before, but they were like very small. And then you have like Google, they're like, ah ha ha, we still have a headphone jack. And then the next year they end up removing it. They're like, oh, who needs dual cameras? And the next year they end up adding dual cameras. And it's kind of like, I think Google is just the worst at that. They're like, oh, look, we still have this thing, or we still do this, or we're not as dumb as this other company because we do this. And then they end up copying them like years
I
later.
still think I still think Samsung's the worst. With
Oh, yeah,
now that
that's
they've
that's
stopped,
true,
it's
actually.
okay, but those adverts that they used to do, it was
The one
like,
with the
honestly,
Notch
how they
family.
yeah, how they got away with that, I don't know, because then I think it was literally the year after that they ended up getting punctual cameras, and then with the there's a few other things that is like, why, how can you do this? And then they go and do it. I think again with the headphone jack thing. I was like, but then down the line you've removed it, and then that makes the whole line of adverts irrelevant and makes you as a company look like a bit stupid, really. So why would you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like Google, even though they've done those kind of things, but they still have, like in the Pixel A line, they still have headphone jacks. Because I don't exactly know how many people use them, because now everybody's really switching to Bluetooth. But
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. Yeah, I honestly I agree with you now. They think Samsung are a bit worse at making fun, especially since they made those adverts.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
used to
It's
make
the same with.
they
Sorry,
used
Jan.
to they used to make somewhere where like these people would go into the Apple store, and then they'd ask for certain things, and they're like, oh no, they can't do this. And then
Yeah,
like, why would I ever want to do that though? And
yeah.
I twisted that meme. I was like, why would you need a pen on your phone? But
But it just happens. Like, it's obviously it's going to happen in a world of technology where everyone's competing against everyone. But it just doesn't make sense to compare yourself in such a way that you know either the next time or in a couple of times, in the couple in the future, basically, that you're going to have to do the same thing. So like, why would you put yourself out there showing, oh yeah, we're the best, we do this, and so don't do that, and then the next year it's like, yeah, actually, we kind of copy those people, and yeah, we're gonna stick with them now. So it's like, why would you make those sorts of things? And it's the same with cameras as well. They're just like, oh yeah, the like Huawei, for example. They're just like, oh yeah, we've got 50 megapixel cameras. A lot of phones now have like Samsung 100 megapixel cameras. Like, the megapixels aren't what matters. Yeah, you
yeah,
can get
exactly.
super zoom and you can get 100 times zoom or 50 times zoom, but realistically, how often are you going to use it? Realistically, how usable are those photos? and realistically, why would you need it? So
Yeah.
yeah, you can look at the moon closer, but just get a telescope because that's what they're made for, and it will actually look good. But yeah, it's like why like iPhones. Fair enough, they don't have all these amazing features. They don't have a pro mode. They don't have super zoom. They don't have anything. They don't have like uh, all these quirky features that Huawei, OnePlus, Samsung, all of them have. But none of that really matters. Fair enough, it makes the experience a bit more fun, but none of it really matters if it doesn't actually benefit you. If you're not going to use it, it wouldn't matter. If the photos aren't going to be as good resolution, it's not going to matter. It's like why if you're going to focus on the camera, focus on making the parts that we know people will use, focus on making them actually look better and work better together, rather than adding features that like 2% of your users are going to use.
Yeah, exactly. Like I completely agree with that. The other day I was having a discussion with someone, or like I retweeted something, and I was like, megapixels doesn't matter, because
Yeah,
there's all these companies that are like, oh look, that we have 100 megapixel camera. Like the average consumer is going to see that and be like, oh, this means this camera is the best. It's better than Apple's
yeah,
because Apple's is only like what 12 megapixels or whatever. Um,
yeah,
but it just doesn't really matter. It's like all about the processing and how it looks and things like that. Because yeah, megapixels you could zoom in more, cool, but still doesn't really make much
yeah.
sense.
Pixels are great examples. They're still using the same main camera as the original Pixel, which
Oh yeah,
is 4 years old, 5 years old. So it clearly proves that having a 12.3 megapixel camera really doesn't matter. You don't need 100 megapixels. You don't need 50 megapixels. You don't need 16 megapixels. Literally,
exactly.
it's to do with the processing. Obviously, a lot of it is to do with the sensor and stuff, but within phones, you can only get certain size sensors anyway. So the next best thing is to do with the software side of things. And someone like Google, being such a big software company, look at how their photos turn out. They're amazing. So it's like you don't need 100 megapixels to have a good photo. You just need a decent amount of megapixels and good processing, good software, and then that's pretty much the perfect formula. You don't need anything more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
Completely
as
agree.
most of the ones like Samsung, OnePlus, they all have high megapixel sensors, but by default, it's on 12 megapixels or it's on 16 megapixels. So for the average consumer, they're not even going to notice because you defaulted it to be on the lower megapixel anyway. So if you're going to be switching to 100 megapixels, it's not really going to benefit anything. You might be able to zoom in a bit more with a bit more detail, but it takes longer to process the photo. You have to hold the phone still for a bit longer. And in terms of HDR, that's not the word. In terms of whatever, in terms of like low light and things like that, it just doesn't make as much sense as having a lower megapixels because the pixels are bigger. In which case, it's better in low light anyway. So it's like why bother? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, but anyway, we're nearing the time now. Got to wrap things up. But is there anything you'd like to add before we finish?
I don't think so. I think that we've pretty much covered everything I wanted to say.
Yeah,
Said what we usually do. So yeah, I think then that's all good on my end.
that's cool. Last question: are you planning on getting the iPhone 13, or are you just gonna stick with the 12 Pro?
That is a good question. So what I was planning to do, as I said before, I was planning on getting the 12 Pro Max on the iPhone upgrade program. So
Yeah.
would have got a new iPhone every year, but because of COVID, it wouldn't allow me to do that because the stores weren't open and you had to go to the store to do it. Um, if the iPhone 13 piques my interest enough, I will probably get it and then get it on the iPhone upgrade program.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of like, usually I'm looking at switching phones. To be fair, pretty much like every 6 months because of how bad the Samsung phones have been treating me. This is the first phone that battery life has been really good. Even now, it's like 9, 10 months later, and battery life's still just as good as it was on day one. in terms of processing, in terms of the speed of the phone. There's no reason why I would need to upgrade, but I probably would because technology and that's what we do. But in terms of that, yeah, I think I probably would if it piqued my interest enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, I don't think it's gonna be that big of an upgrade, so I don't know. You'd probably be sticking with the 12 Pro, but I'm honestly really excited to see 120 hertz on an iPhone. That's gonna be good. And a bunch of other.
There's another thing. I haven't missed that, but I I notice it when going back to my OnePlus 9 Pro or before my Note 20 Ultra, but
Mhm.
really haven't noticed it that much. So for me, it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, it would be nice to see because Apple again, they'd probably end up doing it better than everyone else and having it drain battery a lot less and everything. So it'd definitely be interesting.
Mhm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Callum, for this live stream. It's been great to chat to you about your switch to the Apple ecosystem and Google and stuff like that. And yeah, probably gonna have you on another time. We'll see.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Appreciate-
And thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you're watching this and when you're watching this. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'm Benji from BenObi Tech, and I'll see you all in the very next video or live stream, whatever comes first. See ya.